Hey there, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Happy Friday. Taking this really early on Friday, May 6th. What a day we had yesterday, right? I don't know about the rest of you, but it was like I, I was clutching pearls in one hand and eating popcorn with the other. It was wow. It was really like one thing after another, and I think we were all here for it, right? For once we were eager to lean into the news cycle and see what was coming next. Between, clearly you all know I'm talking about the fallout. The bromance is officially over. The divorce has begun. um uh what one of Musk's baby mamas came out yesterday and said on social media, she was like, look, FDT, if you need some help understanding the breakup process from Musk, just let me know, right? Wow, you all. Wow. Like, there was no, I usually tape on Fridays anyway, but there was no way I was not going to get on here and take a look at some stuff today for us. So my emails were going off like alerts on my phone. It was quite a day. Here's what's awesome about it too, you all, just in terms of staying tuned in spiritually. Astrologers have been saying forever that June was going to be a really interesting month, right? And I'm not an astrologer, but I try to, keep up with what's happening. So it's something about Jupiter and Gemini, if I'm not mistaken, expansion of information, expansion of a lot of what needs to come to light. They've been saying for a while. So astrologers are out there like, I told y'all so. And Spirit has said, both in my readings and in many others on the platform, that this was going to be a really interesting time. And there were like, don't give up, that this whole situation between FDT and Muskrat was on a clock. Like, you cannot have two people of that fabric really, really just, kumbaya forever. Was never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. But wow, how interesting. I don't know about you all, I had not felt that since last summer when Kamala and Walls were out on the campaign trail, giving us some joy, right? Like, that was just wow, just really, really interesting. So let's go in. A couple of things. Of course, Steve Bannon, excuse me, y'all, early, I told you, get my coffee. Steve Bannon came out and, he's like, he should be deported, and prosecuted and all of that, because there was some talk when we first found out about Muskrat being appointed as the head of DOGE, and we'll get to that in a moment, that he, one of the things was that he had entered the country, or he had stayed in the country illegally way back in the day, I guess, while he was still in school. But, so now Bannon's hooping and hollering about, let's use that and get rid of him, deport him, right? Yeah, I don't think so. But here's the thing that really pinged me. So, of all the things that Muskrat was saying yesterday, one of the things that he talked about was calling for a new political party. Now, he said he was going, dip out of politics and really get back to business and focus himself there. Tesla in trouble. We're going to take a look at that. In fact, Spirit's saying, let's go ahead and get that out the way now. Tesla again tanked even further yesterday, and I want to ask Spirit if the Tesla board has had enough. If in fact, one way or another, Elon's going to have to go just try to cling and deal with SpaceX and Starlink. If Tesla's going to just fall off the rails for him. Spirit, will Elon Musk be removed from Tesla? Will he be removed from Tesla? By the way, because we are focusing and opening this reading today on Musk, I am using the cocaine tarot. Why not, right? Some of the images on here are a little adult, so I'll try and be careful because I'm on this platform. I'll try and be careful. I may have to cover some things up. All right. Is Musk going to be removed from Tesla? Is he out of there? I have the Lovers. Ooh, and the Magician. So after I shuffled at the bottom of the deck, I always pay attention to what comes up if it's major arcana. And we have, let me look at these images. Okay, they're safe. We have the Lovers and the Magician. There's some conversations being had. That board is done. The the damage that's being done to that company, especially because it was on such a trajectory, and doing so well. They're trying, and look, I like even in this magician, the figure of the money with the F, with the FU. This is looking like it's heading in that direction, you all. Ultimately, I see it under consideration. Spirit, will he be removed? Will he be removed? I don't know if he'll step down. That just seems like too far of a stretch. He'll try and fight it. There's still enough of his ability to attract talent, because it's not his talent. We've known that for some time. It's just his ability to attract the people who buy into his vision and execute. So he's going to fight it. They're trying to decide, but there's the tower. All right? Clock's ticking on him in Tesla. He's going to try and fight it, that Seven of Wands. But there's the tower. I mean, enough is enough at a certain point. Yeah, so Tesla's in trouble, or his future with Tesla is in trouble. Now, SpaceX, so we had FDT, you all heard saying, well, guess what? If you're going to say all that about the Epstein files, which let's go ahead and address that. I can ask Spirit. I guess I'll do that because I always defer to what we get from Spirit. But the Epstein files, even though clearly, we know, everybody knows that he's in there, right? That's why when Bondi released the redacted version that just didn't tell anybody anything. But that's why. Will the Epstein files be released in their entirety? The devil. Came at the bottom of the deck after I shuffled. The devil. No, because under a different administration, and what I'm getting you all is, okay, if the midterms go the Dems' way and they can flip the House and then launch an investigation, that very well might happen. But in this present moment, under this administration, what it would take to, for them to actually release that information, they're going to close ranks behind that. So we won't be seeing that anytime soon. But it was interesting to hear that confirmation of what everybody already knew from Muskrat. That, yeah, he's in there. He's all over it, right? For entertainment purposes only. I feel like I need to put a big sign behind me that says that. But I don't want to mess up the vibe of the tapestry. But I do. I feel like I need for entertainment purposes only. All right. So Epstein files, not anytime soon. Deportation. Spirit, will there be any muscle behind that? I'm feeling no, because remember, he just has that star base now in Texas. His own little city. There's a lot that he has invested there. Will there be a move to deport him? To deport Elon Musk, known as Muskrat. 8 of Cups. Now that's an interesting energy, like go away. Definitely and in Cups, feelings, emotions. So definitely the sentiment is certainly within Washington, D.C. at large, Congress, etc. I guess that's safe. I just looked at her little outfit. Yeah, there's definitely the sentiment like you're done with us. Wherever you go, Texas, wherever you go, but here in D.C., you're done. You're done. You're no longer welcome. 2 cards just got pulled. The King of Cups and the 6 of Pentacles. I'm not sure. That's not him. But that's somebody behind the scenes. And that's not Miller. No. That could be Miller. And I'll tell you why, you all. Remember, just last week we had the big news of Stephen Miller's wife going with Musk. Right? Now, is she going to stay there? While we're on the subject, is Stephen Miller's wife, what was her name, Katie? Is she going to stay with Musk behind all of this? The devil. Ooh. And that feels like hubby to me. That feels like Stephen Miller going, honey, I know that's what you said. And that was part of the plan, because remember, Spirit said she was actually more of a safeguard. Once they knew that Muskrat was going to have to step away, and he was being told to do that. Another breaking story we're getting, that one of the main movers behind his exit was none other than Susie Wiles. Right? We knew it. We knew it. Susie had her sights set on him for a long, long time. When he tried to, in January, back in January, he tried to get an office, Muskrat, in the White House, close to the Oval, and Susie put the hit on that immediately for entertainment purposes. Only got to watch my words. But Susie was like, oh, no, he won't. I bet he won't. He can go get an office over in that building across the street, but he will not be up in here with us. So apparently that's been on the table for a while. She's just been waiting and moving and waiting and moving quietly. Stephen Miller, however, he's gonna say this is too much. Ten of Wands. Yeah, I don't think Katie's gonna last. And the fact that Katie has this, she's married to his senior advisor Miller. I don't think Musk is going to be comfortable with that either. I think it's a two-way street. So that relationship is not going to go very far. And we have the King of Swords. Now that feels like him to me, Musk to me. Yeah, this is primary. He's already recognizing there's no way I can trust her. There's no way I can trust her. And it also came out that Muskrat and Stephen Miller unfollowed each other on X, which on a certain level sounds petty, but in symbolically that meant a lot. Also, that Muskrat changed his X profile. He took away. There is nothing in his bio right now. Not word. His bio for the time being is empty, just X'd it out, completely X'd it out, and his icon is black. So he's gone dark again. All right, so that's happening. The Six of Swords, this is because I just pulled the King of Swords. This is us looking at Elon directly now, you all. He is plotting his movements forward. Is he serious about forming a political party? Is he going to try and stay in politics, Spirit? He ain't welcome back into Democratic circles, and he's trying to make some noises along those lines. But for all of the rigmarole right now in the Democratic Party, nobody's buying that. I'm not getting that. You getting that? I'm not getting that. Or if they do, that's their ticket out of the, out of contention for any kind of Democratic leadership. Like, nobody's buying that. Muskrat is not ever invited to the cookout again, period. Right? All right. But is he planning to try and use his money, form a new party? Five of Pentacles, he doesn't want to invest the money because of how much he's already lost and still losing. And the Two of Swords, yeah. He wants to talk that game, and there's a part of him, his ego and the narcissism and the fight that he has in him right now. He'd like to figure out a way to do that, but the Two of Swords is like recognizing, how much that would cost and how much he has already lost and is still losing. And then leaving Tesla would continue to lose. And there, yeah, confirmation of that, the Knight of Coins. So, because it would be purely his money, with a lot of as we know, political finance, and PACs, etc., that the money comes from others. But for him to launch something like that, it's strictly out of his pocket, and he's taking such a hit right now. He'd like to do it. There's judgment. Thank you, Spirit. He'd like to do it, but what's the old saying? Biting off more than you can chew. For him to actually launch a party, try and launch a party, get backing, get not just people, but also additional money into it to make it something viable, and especially in the short term. Six of Cups. He's going to be reaching out to people he's known in the past who are movers. I don't know, but see, there's so many people in those circles who have already gone into the MAGA camp firmly, the Peter Thiels of the world, etc. Who, he had those ties to Peter Thiel as well. But Peter Thiel, Project 2025, J.D. Vance, all of that, like those, Stephen Miller, those circles are tight. So he's wondering who he would know, because remember as well, thank you, Spirit. Part of the thing with him is that Muskrat he's not really the one that knows how to do things. He's the one that has the money to put things in motion. So to start a party, he has no idea really what that would entail. That's part of what happened to him in DC. That's why people like Susie Wiles and others in the cabinet were just like, gosh, can we get rid of this guy? He doesn't have a clue. So I don't think that's going anywhere fast, you all. That's a threat that he's making because he wants to do anything to try and rattle FDT et al. And the MAGA movement and the followers and Congress, but he doesn't have a leg to stand on there. So what I'm getting for him for right now, Spirit, just show me him in general, Elon in general, over the next several months. What's he gonna do? What's it looking like for him over the next several months? Elon Musk, as he moves forward, what does it look like for him? Overall, his energy. Seven of Swords. He's going to jump into that continued disinformation, misinformation fray, dropping some truth, like the Epstein files, dropping some truth, but also twisted in the way that he's been doing it. And we have the Queen of Swords. Okay, that's a little adult. Let me do that. We have the Queen of Swords who comes. Is that Susie? Is that Susie Wiles? He's met his match with her. And the Six of Wands, which is really kind of kinky, so I gotta cover that one up. No. He's gonna have to quiet down, pipe down. Not like literally, he'll still do what he does in terms of yapping, but the impact of what he's able to really move forward in terms of damage, continued damage to FDT. Page of Pentacles. He's got to find a different regroup. This is him regrouping, because for him, it really is about his money. It really is about his standing and his claim to fame as being, the richest guy in the world. So he's not going to continue to do anything that jeopardizes that. I think he's going to have to slow his roll, and we've got the Eight of Cups that comes back, and just, go somewhere, lick his wounds, regroup. Very vengeful. He's not going to turn away from it, but what we see him doing, playing out publicly, continuing to fight, duke it out with FDT and the administration, that's gonna have to tamper down a little bit, because again, if Tesla does what looks like they might do in getting rid of him, then he's got to focus all his energy on SpaceX and Starlink. Like, he's got to make his money, and try and build his money back up. All right. That said, Congress now. Let's look at that. And the Senate in particular, because remember, all this started because Muskrat came out and said, this is horrible. This bill is horrible. Whoever voted for it, y'all don't know what you're doing. We've had Marjorie Taylor Greene and some others coming out and saying we didn't even know what was in the bill. And then you've got voters like, what? What? This passed? Just because Johnson and FDT came around and said, look, y'all, this is what we need you to do. All right. So that truth came to light. Didn't even read the bill. All right. Is the Senate going to pass FDT's bill? Because we know Thune and Johnson, combined with FDT himself, he's got to make his rounds. And now, because of all of this, I'm getting, they're doubling, tripling down. Like, nobody's had any sleep. What will the Senate do? Will the Senate pass the spending bill? Will the Senate pass the spending bill? There's judgment. And there's justice. Wow. Talk to me, Spirit. I think they're going to pass it, but the judgment can, sometimes they call this a card of second chances, or awakening, lessons learned with justice, balancing the budget. There has been a lot of talk, we know, about the fact that this was going to blow up the deficit, that the debt would just increase, and there are hardliners who will not bend to that. That's why those two, I think, are coming together. And we have the Ten of Cups. Families, Medicaid cuts. Because Ten of Cups is a very domestic card. It's very much a card of being okay for families and children, etc. And we have death. That bill will not pass as is. And I know there's already been a lot of talk about that, but sometimes it's just talk, lip service, and then what do they really do when it's time to buckle down and make some changes? But I am getting that death card, you all. That for me signals either it is not going to pass, or in order for it to pass, there will have to be some major concessions. And I think some of those concessions are going to have to involve, this whole thing that they've been spinning around. No, there's no cuts to Medicaid. It just means you need to work and then you'll be fine. Like the truth of that, the truth of them trying to sell people on that. There's the Nine of Wands. Almost impossible for them to, the burden of them to continue to sell the lies. And there's the Chariot. So how do they move it forward? They're going to pass some version of it. Will this involve I'm getting tax cuts? Will this involve them having to peel back on some of the tax incentives for the wealthy? Eight of Cups, peeling back. Eight of Cups is hot today. Eight of Cups, yes, walking back on some of those promises, especially to the ultra wealthy that who most of this is designed for, right? And the Four of Cups. Oops, so sorry to disappoint you, but this is on the Congress's end. So sorry to disappoint you, our fellow rich people. Thank you, confirmation. Five of Pentacles, about their money, about the tax incentives. So some of that's going to have to get pulled back as well. And ultimately, Spirit, so are you showing me it will pass, but with some significant changes? That Congress is going to exercise some muscle on this. King of Wands. That feels like Thun. And the Two of Swords. Working with Johnson. Because it's got, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not an expert in how government works, but if I'm not mistaken, whatever changes they make changes and it's got to go back to the House. Do I get that right? And their strength. Okay. Yeah. They're going to pass it, you all. But it's going to undergo some changes. Because they're also looking to, Congress is looking to say, we did hear you. We still got to try to appease FDT and, make it appear we understand the country's mandate to reduce spending, fraud, and waste. We're going to be hearing more and more and more about the fraud and waste, right? But, that's our goal. That's our only goal, to eliminate, fraud and waste. But They're going to have to do better than that. But ultimately, I am seeing that it will pass. All right. And finally, you all, the last thing I want to look at today, there is a piece. Some of you gonna fuss at me, but remember, that former journalist in me. Once a journalist, always a journalist. So I do try to take in different sources of news. So please don't get mad at me when I tell you this next piece. Washington Post does have a really good article out today about DOGE having fired too many people, and now the government is having to go back to federal workers who were fired and say, please come back. We need your expertise. We don't have a clue what we're doing. For instance, they cite a Social Security office in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, that had undergone these incredible staffing cuts, and as a result their phones went down for 3 days. They were just their systems, their computer systems went down, like everything, and there was such an uproar behind it. They were like, okay, our bad. And they're trying to restaff, in particular the FDA. They're trying, Food and Drug Administration. We got, exactly, you get it, like what's happening or potentially what could happen with food, the distribution of food, oversight, drugs, etc. They're like, oops, our bad. We recognize now that we really do need these people. IRS workers are being invited back, and U.S. aid workers are being invited back or asked to come back. From the story that I read in the Washington Post, it's saying a lot of them are like, screw you, not even going to endure this stress again, especially for those who are already approaching retirement. They're like, why would I? But the fact that DOGE is in trouble. And even though when we heard about, going back to Muskrat, when we heard that Muskrat was leaving, the next question was, oh, so does that mean DOGE as well? They're out, and they were like, nope, we've got people in place. They know now what they're doing. They'll be able to continue. I don't know about all that. Let's take a look. And the Weather Service, right? We've got meteorologists who have been coming out and saying, look, y'all, tornado coming, hurricanes, other weather events. We won't even see it coming. We're not going to know. So yeah, there's a lot of backtracking on that. But does that mean DOGE is headed out? Spirit. Is DOGE, are the people who are still there? Here comes Queen of Swords again. I think that's Susie. Because Susie, as again, I've on the research that I've been doing, they said she was a major, major factor behind Muskrat having to hit the door. DOGE, Seven of Cups. Choices being made, not eliminating them per se, because they don't want to give the public at large the satisfaction of saying, oops, we really did make a mistake, our bad. But that Seven of Cups is like, we got to make some choices around what function they really even practically can serve at this point. Two cards just came, Knight of Swords and the Ten of Swords. Swords everywhere. All right, so yeah, let me check the images out. I gotta be careful with this deck. All right, yeah, Knight of Swords and the Ten of Swords. This is also people within DOGE. They know that they're marked. They know that they were already disliked, and now they don't have the muscle and the favor of the administration really behind them that came certainly when Musk was still around. They don't have that favor. They don't have that muscle. And so we have the Six of Cups. How do we go back to doing what we knew best how to do, right? The techies, the tech nerds. Yeah, they're going to be out there on the market. Spirit, will they go back to Muskrat? Will they go back to Muskrat? The Devil. Temptation. And the devil being better than the devil you don't. And when we were looking at Muskrat earlier, and he got that Six of Cups and said he's going to go back and reach out to people, but we knew it wasn't Peter Thiel. Those people, they're too tied in. He's going to go back. He's going to try and grab some of his people who he got installed in D.C. Use them to what purpose? I'm not sure, but here comes my ace. And if you're with me, you know when I get my aces, that's my spirit guides and ancestors telling me I'm on the right track. And notice it does come in swords. All of this has been coming in swords. Communication, movement, shifts, changes, thinking, analysis. That's who he's going back to. So he's that, and that would be another way of him, of Muskrat, back at the administration, because these people that have been installed, who have the data, who have information, who have been instrumental in a lot of this destruction, he's gonna, weaponize, bring them back to some end. I'm not sure, can't see what, but that's who he's gonna be reaching out to. Well, you all, a lot going on today. I went a little longer than I planned, but there was just so much to cover. I hope that this was helpful. I will be back with you all probably on Sunday. I try to check in with you all on Sundays. Let's keep drinking our coffee. Stay alert and keep some ice cream. I mean, ice cream. Well, maybe ice cream, but keep some popcorn on the shelf, ready to pop some more popcorn. We'll see what happens. Really be safe out there, you all. Keep your chin up. Right? Keep our chin up and our shoulders back. Stay relaxed. Spirit has said all along, this is timing, and it is frustrating, and it makes us angry, and all sorts of emotions that we've been going through. But things are developing, and this will not be forever. This is not our forever by any means. All right? So breathe deep, check in with yourselves, stay calm, keep your energy system and your faith very, very strong. And I'll talk to you real soon.